going to be much more difficult for you to get your partner's back. So again, here, he grabs your thigh. I want to go inside my knee with my elbow, connect two hands on my partner's tricep, so the underhook one covering the overhook one. So we'll call this a drag arm covering the outside arm. Now I'm going to hook my leg and then try and move your shin outwards to the end of your partner's wrist. Okay, as I drag, I'm going to sit up and try and catch my partner's lat. Alright, make sure when you do this sit up, you get your chest like over the top. That would be like the ideal way of chasing it, right? If you pull your partner down to a drag position, most of the time they're going to come up on their hands. Yeah, exactly. So if I just try and get his lat here first, he's going to get his elbow back to the inside. Yeah, and you're not going to get a position. So as soon as you complete your drag, you should use your left leg to get your chest over the top. And as we just do a drag, he's sat up to this position, lat, and then post your hand on your partner's wrist here, right? So as your partner's trying to stand up, I'm able to lift, and I can even post off this wrist and split backwards to bring my partner down. Okay, or if they do a good job of balancing, I try and tip him backwards, I can't, then I can look to get my half Nelson and put my partner back over. Okay, so one more time. I'm going to be this position. My partner's got the cup on my thigh. I'm going to go, so from the shoulder frame, you can go drag grip first, overhook, okay? Or you can go from this sort of tricep grip, bring your elbow inside, and then double up the grip. Now I'm going to splay my knee to the outside and drag past my hip. We land in this position. As I'm reaching for the lat, my partner's often coming up to his hands, and I'm going to post on the wrist and get my chest over the top, okay? If he comes all the way up to his hands here, again, I can get the hook in, I'll get the hook in, go back down. Okay, if we're in this sort of scenario, and I can't break my partner down to the ground, then I'll go half Nelson, start to pull him back over, seatbelt grip, then I'm looking to bridge. Okay, if my partner's defending the outside hook, use your left knee as well. Then I'm going to look to start threatening face chokes to get his hands busy. Now I can bridge whilst crossing my legs over the top of my partner's hip and get my left leg to the inside. Okay, let's go one more time. Come back a bit. Over here. Okay, playing, just keeping your partner from controlling your head as ever. Look for the grip on behind your partner's tricep. Double up the grip, splay your knee to the outside. You can pull through, catch your partner's lat. Okay, as he's coming up to his wrist, I'm going to post on his wrist, use my left toes behind me to bring my chest over the top. Okay, from this position, I'm safe to switch to the half Nelson where you're aiming for your elbow right on the crown of your partner's head. Now I'm going to take him back over. If your partner's massive, right, sometimes you need a wrist S grip, okay? Sometimes palm to palm, or in this scenario, he's not really resisting, right? It's making it easy for me. I can get a wrist to wrist grip and then take my partner over. As he lands, right, we basically landed in a similar position before. I need to get my seatbelt first to prevent my partner from bringing his left elbow to the inside. Yes, exactly, and scooping out, right? So if we're here and I have the short hook with my right leg and I have the half Nelson, my next step should be a seatbelt, okay? And tension between my chest and my partner's back to stop him from sinking this shoulder to the inside too quickly. Okay, in the meantime, I'm going to be trying to get my left leg to the inside. So you can scoot up your partner relative to them to give you the mobility to get it in, but you still have to deal with your partner's left hand and their left knee. So if I just hold the wrist, right, sometimes it's difficult to get my foot to the inside. In that scenario, I'm going to cross my legs over my partner's butt. So make sure your left knee covers your partner's thigh and then bridge with your chest and back to open up the space. Again, he might be using his hand here, right? So if you just had a seatbelt in this case, make sure you hold his space. Okay, you can threaten finishes. But if your partner defends with his left hand, now I can control that hand. Now I can do my bridging and get my leg to the inside. Okay, so you deal with this hand and the leg, and basically like you can threaten the strangle as well in case your partner tries to get away with just blocking your leg. Okay. Alright guys, so this time we're going to be dealing with our partner's wrist grip on this arm, right? Don't get me wrong, there's lots of things you can do, but especially in this sort of scenario, so for context, your partner might get an arm weave, you free your leg, you know, they keep the arm weave. You can still weigh on their head and start to free your arm, okay? But when you weigh on your head, often your partner takes that right arm out and they start to, you know, deal with the collar tie, for example. This is the sort of scenario where I'm going to go to a drag grip, okay? So once you get the drag grip, try and go wrist deep, right? If you feel more effective if you put your palm on it, because I feel like you can use your fingers to kind of turn them, but they'll be able to just swing that arm behind them and free the grip, yeah. If you go wrist grip, okay, as you're doing this move, if he's trying to swing his arm free, it's actually pretty difficult because you're clasping like over the top of it. So as he goes, you know, to circle his arm free, you get a bit more control and like time to work basically. So controlling the wrist, my partner's posting on my wrist. Before I free this grip, right, I need to come up onto my elbow. So regardless which way he's holding it, okay, I still want to come up onto my elbow, keep my left elbow flared against my knee, and then circle my hand towards the thumb. So if he's holding the other way, I go and hold the other way. Then I just want to go straight in this gap towards my partner's wrist. Okay, so again, hold the other way, circle inside, holds the other way, circle straight towards, just barely a circle, right? Once you get this drag grip, you need to be aware that, like, for example, if I just go butterfly hook here and I let my partner connect his hands, this is no good and I'm not going to get the sweep at the end of it, right? So put your head in my face. Yeah, exactly. If I try and sweep him here, I'm not getting swept because he's going to drive his head into my face as I go for it and flatten me out, and I won't be able to basically rock him over. So get this position again. He's controlling armpit grip. So let's say, you know, if he's arm weaving, remember you're just grabbing the collar tie, leaning on his head. You can still come up on your elbow and start to scoot yourself free, okay, and just weigh on them. So you're more looking at sort of wrestling style moves at that point. But let's say you do that and he doesn't go this either. He just clears your arm off the head. Yeah, exactly. So we're just playing where he's got a wrist grip and he's negating you from doing stuff, and maybe you have a shoulder post. So from here, I'm going to come up onto my elbow, okay, collect the drag grip. You can do that in any order. You can go drag grip, flare your elbow, and then come up. Or you can frame on the shoulder, come up, and then drag grip. Okay, I would say the latter is probably a bit safer in terms of them trying to palm your knee to the side and body lock. Okay, so whenever you have the cross shoulder pose, body lock's not really going to be available because you can always take that knee back out. So if he crushes my knee for a second, okay, I can always use that cross shoulder pose to pull my knee to the outside. So yeah, sit up, control the armpit grip, make sure your elbow's flaring. You don't want your partner to connect their hands here, right? So if he's trying to connect his hands, try not to be too square underneath him, right? Because he, you know, if he can connect his hands, even with your shin to the inside, it can still start to create problems where, you know, he pummels his leg in and knee cuts, just standard body lock passes you, okay, where you can't shrimp your hips to the outside effectively.